We're here for what is typically our weekly meeting, sometimes in person, sometimes online, for us to sit down and get a little bit of writing done, typically on conflict resolution topics. But we're going to talk a little bit about what it is we do and who we are. But I'm Sharon Sutherland. I'm going to just let everybody introduce themselves, though.
I'm Lauren Florko.
Amanda Seminoff.
Marilyn Lemon.
And Taryn Stickney.
Great. This is some of the group. We actually have a broader group, but these are the people who are here today. And what we're going to talk about is just what we do as Writers Group. But first.
So this broadcast is part of the Mediate BC's Virtual Expo. It's an initiative for Conflict Resolution Week, which runs from November 3rd to November 10th, province-wide. And the goal is to raise awareness about different conflict resolution processes happening all around the province.
What we're going to talk about is just that's a bad thing. Sorry about that. That's not what we want. Sorry. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to talk about Mediate BC, but I apologize. I've got my computer going so that I can share this as well. But Mediate BC is a not-for-profit society. It leads, promotes, and facilitates mediation and other collaborative dispute resolution processes in the province.
And you can check out the Mediate BC's Facebook page for more folks broadcasting on topics about conflict resolution this week.
And it's important that you know that the opinions expressed here today are not those of Mediate BC necessarily.
Necessarily. We like to think that some of our opinions might be shared.
There's definitely overlap, but not complete.
Yeah, not necessarily. In any event, so what we want to talk about is kind of what Writers Group is, and I'm just going to kind of kick off what Writers Group is as a general concept. A few years ago, there were several of us who were part of CORE, either on the board or were subscribers to the speaker series. And we were finding that we all had different things that we wanted to do in terms of writing projects. Many of them were related quite directly to conflict resolution. Some of them were around, I want to get some blogs done and I'm not getting time to do it. Some of them were, I want to work on some academic project. But we had those conversations and we said, we probably could get together and do something. And so there's been a group of us quite steadily, and a steadily growing group for the last couple of years, who organized to meet on Fridays or Saturdays. It's a little bit flexible, and we have the potential to expand to other times and support each other in writing, taking 2 hours a week to do some writing. And I thought it might be helpful if we just kind of each talk like we would at the beginning of any session about what it is we're working on today. We normally start that way. We share that, and then we might want to share just why it's valuable for us to be here.
Sure, I'll start. So I'm Amanda, and I've been working on writing around teaming, and specifically like recreational sports teams, and how we create inclusive environments for sort of in sporting environments where some of our players are not quite as good as others, or in those kinds of spaces, and thinking about it in hockey. And so that has become a couple of blog posts, and potentially, I don't know, I've been actually thinking about it as an online course or a book, and just sort of doing writing in that frame. And I'm going to be working on some of that today.
Great. So I use this group a lot to get me to focus, to sit down and actually do the work, because I tend to get scattered and I tend to get all kinds of ideas all over the place. And I think there's 2 hours. I'm going to make all these ideas come together in something. And sometimes it's something like a blog post, or right now I'm working on a presentation that keeps changing, but now I just spent an hour working on it. And it's the focus part.
Okay, and it's a range of things, it sounds like, for you too.
For me, it's all over the place, but it's like bringing them together and making a specific assignment for a specific time. And I'm still in the kind of developmental stage of my career. And so I'm getting ideas from books and people and online and Mediate BC and the other core people, and it's just too much information, but I can take this time to sort it out and write it down.
Great.
And I am mostly doing fiction writing I like writers groups because I feel similarly that, it's a time where I can focus and I can sort of remove other distractions. Today I will be writing about a character and sort of a specific scene I had in mind for her development.
Similar to Taryn, I am not a mediator. I work with CORE, and so I'm going to use writers group as a way to talk about examples or scenarios that will relate to people more than just outside of my field, which is in business.
Yeah. And I've used the writers group to do a number of different things. Right now, my daughter Darcy, who isn't here today, we've been working for a couple months on writing a TV pilot that is specifically about a mediator. And we have found that the easiest way for us to find concentrated time together is actually to do it here. So it's been great because we both sit, we figure out what scenes we're each working on that day. We work on the scenes, and then following writers group, we actually sit down and read scenes out to each other. So it gives us quite a focused time, and we're actually moving ahead on a project that doesn't fit into either of our regular work lives, because writing a TV pilot isn't part of my real professional work, even if it's related to conflict resolution. Maybe one day, when it's been picked up, and but for the moment, it's something that's kind of separate.
And we probably want to mention Jacqueline. She can't be here today. She planned to be here, and she's been doing academic writing. So she's just been finishing up her master's degree, and she's been doing a lot of papers. She's been using the writing group time as a time to do her academic papers, and also as a time to kind of bounce ideas off of people. So her and I have more than once at the beginning of a session talked through what she thinks she's doing, what I think I'm doing. Then we go off and do our stuff, and then we check in again. And that's a really valuable kind of space even for academic writing, where you have sounding boards of some very, very intelligent people in the room.
Yeah, I think it's like that commitment, like when I talked to you on the phone at the beginning, it's like a commitment to that package. Instead of, if I was not in the group, I would be all over the place. And nobody would know.
I mean, personally, I find writing really difficult. I find it to be quite a painful exercise. And so the concept that I have social accountability, that I've made an intention, that I sit down, I probably write 5 or 6 times faster when I do it in the writers group as I would on my own. And so even if I take the time to travel to where we are and to sit down and to do the sharing parts at the beginning and the end, I still get way more done.
I think most of us feel that way. And maybe I'll just emphasize, because I've definitely, like Jacqueline, and as you were talking about Amanda, that sharing, I have definitely benefited from having feedback out of this group. This is a group where even if everybody doesn't come in as a conflict resolution professional, everybody comes in with some shared interest in understanding how conflict impacts the world or how it plays out. In Taryn's case, she's talking, there's no way conflict isn't impacting her characters. It is absolutely part of fiction writing. Yeah. So we've got people coming from these different backgrounds, different perspectives, but all able to engage in different conversations about it. So I know that I have definitely got people to read some of my stuff. We don't automatically, like some writers groups, sit and read what we've been working on at the end of the session. We're usually in such different places in our writing that doesn't make sense as a project. But we do have that chance to make connections with people who might be the right readers for our thing, or who might just have an idea as to, this is where you need to go look for that. And I've benefited from that tremendously over the last while.
Or even just needing to talk something through when you're stuck. So you'll have an idea, you've gotten partway into it, and then you just kind of get stuck. And there's something about being able to look at somebody and talk through how you got to where you're stuck. You tend to unravel yourself in that process.
I just like to say also the idea of being supported. Like like I say, I'm at the beginning of this process, and I have trouble with discouragement and those days when it doesn't seem worthwhile. And yet to know that there are people in this group who know it's worthwhile, it's good to have that connection. Especially this week, actually.
Yeah, there are days when it's particularly nice to have a writers group session, actually.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm just going to throw out the kinds of things that might be questions you're thinking, and encourage you to actually put your real questions out as I'm doing that. But please do, if you've got questions, add them. And if you've got questions and are watching this after the fact, we will monitor and respond to questions. So we'll keep answering if you're watching this 2 days later. But some of the things I'm thinking might be questions are, where do you meet? Because you look like you're in a big office building there. And do I need to be in downtown Vancouver? Do I need to, if you're going to one of the personal meetings, where do those happen? Anybody want to chime in on that besides me?
Well, we basically talk together and figure it out. And more than half of the meetings are virtual. So it's either by call-in or by video chat. Sometimes we use Zoom. It depends on the platform and how many people are getting in touch. Sometimes if it's a smaller meeting, we'll just do a phone tree. But we tend to alternate between Tsawwassen, downtown Vancouver, and New West for in-person meetings. But we're kind of open to being where people physically want to write. So I like coffee shop writing. Every 6 or 8 weeks, we're in New Westminster in a coffee shop writing, and people can join me. But even for those sessions, you can join virtually. So Marilyn has called in to some of those before, where perhaps myself and 1 or 2 other people are in New West, but then you have other people calling in. And so it's really, really easy to join us.
Yeah, and we host every so often a session out at our house in Tsawwassen, which developed mostly because we had for a period of time quite a few people who were out in that general area. So we continue to do that, but more often than not, people who aren't conveniently located simply call into those as well. But we've met at UBC, we've met in various parts of East Vancouver. It really depends on who's there that week, and we plan ahead for those in-person ones.
And I've called in when I'm traveling and need to set some time aside to write. So, I called into one from Newfoundland.
I noticed the group also will meet sometimes during work weeks, sometimes on weekends. So then if people aren't flexible in their work, or they like writing on weekends because you can sit with a cup of coffee, that there's that flexibility as well.
Yeah, we absolutely, we essentially negotiate times. We get on the phone and we talk about when's it going to work. And we'll have relatively regular times, but we sometimes push it. Sometimes our Friday sessions are much later than others. Sometimes it really depends on what people's availability is.
And there's no individual that attends every session.
We got a question from Walter.
Yeah.
Do you have capacity? That is, have you ever had to split into cells because the group got too large?
So far, we've never had to split. What we have had is days where we have a fairly large attendance, and we maybe have a little trouble going all the way around the circle. So we abbreviate what we're doing around that and make sure that we're actually focused on call-ins and things. But we absolutely have capacity because we have a flow. You don't have to commit to every week. It's whenever you want to attend. So this is a reasonable representation of what we might get on a weekly basis, is having 5 of us out, but it wouldn't be the same 5 each week necessarily. So if you're interested in joining, the thing we didn't mention in terms of place is we have also international dial-ins. So we do occasionally have, as Amanda said, she's called in from Newfoundland.
That's international.
Yeah, very international.
I've called in from Ireland, though. And I once called in while on a cruise ship down in, so it's, you can definitely call in from other places.
I would just like to say most of my interactions been on call-in, but I really prefer in person because you don't get people interrupting you. So if we can do more in-person things, I think I would like that a lot.
So I'm not seeing any more questions coming in right now, but the one thing I'm thinking is we should make sure everybody knows how to get in touch with us if they want to join. If you're following this from the Core Conflict Resolution Clinic page, there will be an About section, and you'll see that we've got, you can contact us through the page. You can also contact us at coreclinic1@gmail.com. And our website, Laura, I don't know if you want
which
to talk
is
about that.
wordpress.courtconflict.com. And so we have a brand new designed website that you can see. If you go under other initiatives, the writers group has its own section there.
Yeah, and you could just click on that to connect and say that you want to participate. What'll happen if you do is you'll be put on the email list and you'll be part of the distribution as we're asking, where do we want to meet?
Right.
What do we want to do? And hey, this is what's coming up. Who's going to actually participate?
Yeah. The website also outlines what all the dates are and times for the upcoming writers group in the next couple months.
Yeah, we're usually planned about 2 months ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna move to the reminder that this broadcast was part of Mediate BC's virtual expo and is taking place during Conflict Resolution Week. And just a reminder that there are still some additional sessions that are going. And if you go to Mediate BC's Facebook page, you can link to any of those additional ones in the virtual expo. And there's still some fun stuff.
This is a good moment for you to plug your session tomorrow.
All right, I have a session tomorrow. The challenge is I keep forgetting the name of the session I'm doing tomorrow, but I am talking about something that is related. I'm talking about whether fiction can make you a better conflict resolver, which ties really nicely to the initiative that is also being released today. And I don't know if you want to talk about core reads at all, Lauren, because I know you released the video today, right?
Well, we've got early release of the video to anyone who is our subscriber. Later today, the video will go up to those who are not subscribers. So it's just another reminder that subscribing will benefit you in some of the fun news that we have coming out.
Yeah. But Core Reads is a wonderful opportunity. If you're interested in writing, you might also be interested in reading about conflict. And it is 3 conflict resolution professionals, Wendy, Lacusta, mediating as they each propose books that might be really good for conflict resolution professionals to read. And they make a pitch as to why. And unlike Canada Reads, where they have a massive debate and try and kick each other off the island, basically. This one instead is a consensus-based decision-making process that they engage in with Wendy's facilitation.
Yeah.
And they choose a book, which we're all going to read over Christmas.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do all these videos stay up, or are they time limited at all?
They are going to stay up.
They're going to stay up.
Oh, that's good, because I've been worried that they're going to vanish.
They're there, and we'll condense them down so that we'll have them in a resource on the website as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway, well, thank you all for being willing to do this too. I know that we're about to get back to our writing and dig in for the day's work, but thank you. And we hope to have some of you join us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.